buy, what are you willing to sell? If you're the Giants or if you're a fan, what do you want them to sell? What do you want them to buy with? Because if you buy and you want to get some of these big boys, you're going to have to give up something. And it seems like a lot of Giants fans are reluctant to give up on that as the farm system gets built and built and built. I just wonder how much patience we're going to have with Farhan Zaidi. Because where is it going? Are we going to go through this process again next season? Are we going to get through the year here and he's going to buy a mid-league pitcher? Like a lot of people say Marcus Stroman. Marcus Stroman's going to cost. You know? Cal Hendricks is going to cost. Shane Bieber's going to cost. If you want Corbin Burns, that's going to cost. What are you willing to sell off?
Point.
You know what I'm saying?
Lucas Giolito is going to cost money.
So Summer Sundays are throwing up my tweet talking about when I was like, hey, man, why don't you sell because you're a year away from being a year away? I truly believe that. And they all laughed at me. Shout out to Anthony Garcia, Carbon Q, and Cole Kuiper. They all laughed at me saying, no, you need to buy. You need to be aggressive. Okay, so if you want to be aggressive, you're going to have to sell something from that farm. And it's going to be some big boys. And are you willing to do that? Is Farhan willing to do that? Doesn't sound like he is.
Well, and here's the question that I keep coming to, right? As we're in the first half, and I think they've had like a B plus, maybe even B minus, depending on how you're measuring it, because I think there's an argument to be said, hey, you spend $180 million, you should be better than third place in the NL West. Like, I understand that argument. Right. But given that I didn't have the highest expectations, I feel like it's a B plus first half.
No, it's been a good first half.
But here's the problem. This is the same thing. I'll go back to 2021. What is carryover to next year and the year after that? You asked a question, which is really good when we're comparing and contrasting Giants, Niners, Warriors. Can we all agree from when Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch took over, this Niner franchise is closer to a Super Bowl today than they were when they hired him?
No doubt.
Okay. Mike Dunleavy. We will judge him after, what happened this offseason in a couple of years, and we'll say, are they closer or farther away to a championship?
Right. But you know what? Right now, you got to say Mike Dunleavy Jr., boy, considering what they were working with when the salary cap, you get Dario Sarge, you get Chris Paul, you got Corey Joseph as your third point guard. You're going to elevate Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody. I'm not mad at what Dunleavy Jr. has done so far. Right now, your top 10 players with the Golden State Warriors, oh, man, you're cooking with something in the West.
He inherited something that's obviously better infrastructure, closer to a champion than what Farhan took over. So that I have to acknowledge. But it's been 6 years. And I ask a Giants fan sincerely, are you closer to a World Series today than when the day he took over?
I don't know.
Yes, you are. Do you remember how bad this team was at the end of 2018? Do we not forget that? They lost like 10 or 12 straight going into that September. They were terrible in 2018. They had no major league ready talent in the farm system. All their best players were old and expensive. If you were thinking at the end of 2018, hey, you know what? I think this team is a move or two away from making it back to the playoffs of World Series, then I want what you're on, because that's just some crazy nonsense.
Are they a move or two away from being a World Series team right now?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like they're in a very comfortable spot.
Okay, just because they're not a move or two away now. Okay, but in 2018, there were 500 moves away.
I don't know.
Okay, 400.
By the way, you're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMG, FM, and HD1 San Francisco, always live on the free Odyssey app. Download the Odyssey app and favorite 95.7 The Game for the best and most up-to-date sports coverage. What difference does it make if you're 5 to 10 moves away from the World Series or 500 moves away from the World Series?
Like, you could say they're incrementally closer. I would say that's not enough progress. Like, that, I guess, would be my counter to that.
I mean, all I'm saying, Sam, I asked a question. How much patience should we exhibit with Farhan Zaidi in this process? You tell me. They're telling us that they have starting rotation depth. I'm watching the games here. They're 49 and 41. I don't see starting rotation depth.
Well, I would say this. They've made incremental. They've made light years gains in the bullpen. The bullpen right now feels very playoff ready. Yeah. Right? That is
Doval, the Rogers brothers.
He gets a lot of credit for that.
No doubt.
Doval, the Rogerses, he's been awesome with that. I would say the front end of the rotation is solid. It's really solid, okay? I don't know if this is a playoff lineup. And I know that they've hit at times, but when you're relying on the amount of old guys that they are, like Conforto's a great example. You have to load manage Conforto throughout the year to get the best out of him, which takes him out of the lineup. And I don't love that, right? And he's a flawed player. Like he's only batting like 230, 240, something like that. He's had a really good year. I look at Mike Yastrzemski. Mike Yastrzemski on most playoff contending teams is a fourth outfielder defensive replacement.
Right.
On this team, they rely on him so much. And
his
I feel like you
hamstrings
got to
are-
kind of load manage him a little.
Yeah, because the hamstrings are going out
Exactly.
every other week with
Crawford.
Mike Yastrzemski. Crawford, he's back. He's hurt again with the
Again.
hamstring. And that was to be expected. There's no knock on him. He's just a little older. J.D. Davis, boy, is this going to stay? Is he going to be able to
had a
keep
great
this
year.
up? He has had a great
He's
year.
had a great
No doubt
year.
about it. J.D. Davis with the lone home run
Yeah.
yesterday.
Now-
They scored a lone run for the Giants against the Rockies. J.D. Davis has been fine, but you don't have Estrada for the next 4 to 6 weeks.
Which is huge.
You know, and the other thing, too. The other thing that's just driving me
What's that?
crazy. It's driving me insane now. The lineups.
Wilmer Flores batting second.
I mean, give Wilbur credit.
He's
been hot.
balling.
He's been balling the
He's
last 4 to
balling.
5 weeks. I give Wilbur credit. He's a professional. He stays ready. I like Wilmer Flores. He's a glue
I do
guy.
too.
He's a utility guy. He can play all over the diamond. Yeah, does he have the best glove? No. Does he have the best arm? No.
He's a
But you know
perfect
what?
bench guy.
He's a pro.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah,
mad at
I
Wilmer
like him.
Flores at all.
I like him too.
But damn it, Austin Slater one day batting lead off. Lamont Wade Jr. batting lead off. Jock Peterson batting lead off. I mean, can I get a consistent lineup? Here's what I need to see. I want Luis Matos batting second.
Mm-hmm.
He's got speed. He's got athleticism. He has a good eye.
Yeah, he takes
Let him
pitches.
bat second. He
Yeah.
could be a table setter for you. Don't bury him at 6, 7, 8. Same thing with Casey Schmidt. For whatever reason, we started talking about chase rate. Casey Schmidt has never been the same.
Well, he
How
had-
do you get him going?
yesterday, and this is inside baseball. Like he didn't have a hit yesterday. He had two great at bats. One of them, he goes to 2-0, rips one down the line, right into the third baseman's hands, and it was hit so hard he doesn't even get out of the batter's box. And boom, double play. And so you look at the box score and you're like, what? Double play for Casey Schmidt. I'm like, dude, that was a great at bat. The next one, he worked a walk.
Well,
his at bats look better,
let me
but
say
B,
this.
the results aren't there.
Yeah, I don't know if it could be a great at bat when you produce it out. You know what I'm saying? That's just the casual fan.
Going back to baseball, like we know we're
Right.
talking about that's baseball.
Right.
Hitting a ball hard.
I get it. Hitting a ball
going
hard,
into a
getting no
double
results,
play.
that
and
sucks.
then having like a C9 single or a Texas leaguer, and that's the one you get a base hit on. That's baseball.
Yeah, I hear you. But I got a problem with the lineups. 650 Comcast Business Text Line. Let's not forget the terrible player options Farhan gives out, which gives the injured players all the leverage. No team wants these guys at the deadline. It's something I touched
You know
on
what?
last week
That's
with
a
the
good
player
point.
options.
That's a good point.
Manaya and Ross Stripling had $15 million player options. What the hell do you think they're doing?
Yeah, I mean,
Michael Conforto has an $18 million player option. Nobody is giving these guys those type of deals except for Farhan Zaidi.
DeSclafani, Stripling, and Manaya. That's about what, $40 million?
Well, 12 for DeSclafani. This year, Manaya and Stripling making 10. Next year, they're making 15.
So 30 plus 10, that's about $40 million. You know what kind of ball player you can get for $40 million on the open
You
market?
can get a superstar, but superstars apparently don't want to come here. Farhan doesn't believe he can get a superstar here because he's talking about the city and the politics and everything that's happening around the city.
What's your letter grade for the first half? Because I think that the
They get
and
a
I
B
have-
minus.
I
They
have-
get a B minus.
Yeah, I think the youngsters have really, changed the dynamic for this team. But I'm fearful that a bad July and August could kind of submarine our thoughts on the year.
Well, the Milwaukee Brewers now a half game behind you. The
They've been
Phillies
on
are a
fire.
half game behind you.
Yeah.
San Diego 6 games behind you, but you know they have a run in you. You can make up 6 games. Cubs are probably going to sell. They'll fade. But then you got the New York Mets who are 7 games behind the Giants. And the Mets are going to try to make a run for this team. They're
I
in
agree.
buy mode.
Yeah.
They're going to try to do everything they. So the Giants may sneak into the playoffs. They just may, because they do play good baseball. They do have good strategies. But as a fan of this baseball team, and I'm watching them over the weekend against the Rockies, and they're eking by the Rockies, winning 2 out of 3. Boy, they are winning by the skin of their teeth.
I'll take it.
You have no choice but to take it. But I'm looking at the farm. I'm saying, well, he's had this job since 2018. We're still not ready with the farm system. Then you look at the major league talent. You're saying to yourself, they got no shot against the Braves. They got no shot against the Dodgers. They got no shot. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm going to keep it positive with the Giants. But Farhan Zaidi, just listening to those clips, I don't get inspired by him. I don't get inspired, and I don't know what his plan is right now. Sam, do you get inspired by him? I want to hear. Love is the biggest Farhan fan.
Yeah, I mean, when you see the talent that you got coming up through the farm system, like the whole point is if you want to build sustainable homegrown growth, like this is how you do it. And like again, like I said, when Farhan got here, there was no major league ready talent. All the talent they had to start off at the lowest levels. And that takes time to get up here. It doesn't help the fact that I think they had some setbacks, whether you want to justify those setbacks or not. They did get off to a slow start, but right now you are starting to see that fruit come through on the farm system, and there's going to be more coming in the next couple of years. Yeah, it's a frustrating process, but that's how this stuff goes when you're not going to just throw a bunch of money at free agents and try and rebuild that way.
But they have tried to throw money at free agents, and they have thrown money at free agents.
But that's not just a Farhan thing. I mean, even Brian Sabian tried throwing money at free agents and only was able to succeed a couple times.
They have a $183 million payroll, Lubman. $183 million payroll. They get a pass for that. $183 million
that's like
payroll.
11th in baseball, though.
They're 10th in the league in payroll. 10th in the league. $183 million. What are they? 21 million away from the CBT? Competitive tax threshold?
I think the frustrating thing is it just doesn't feel like outside. They have the youngsters, but everything around that feels very unsustainable.
Yeah, I don't
And they
know.
desperately need these youngsters to continue to contribute.